April 6th, 1862. A Tennessee field, 6 in the morning. The little log church on the property was called Shiloh. It's a Hebrew word, Shiloh. It means place of peace. The Union Army is camped during their march south to Corinth, Mississippi, a Confederate stronghold that will open the way to Memphis. Realizing they may soon be outnumbered, Confederate leaders took their 42,000 men and mobilized to ambush the Union Army at Shiloh. The morning is a day of peace. Their general is 6 miles downriver having breakfast. They have no idea that in 90 seconds, the worst day in American military history is going to come out of those trees and find them.
We're here. Charge! The Rebs are on us! Gentlemen, the ball is in motion.
Union regiments are overrun in their tents. Whole brigades dissolve in 30 minutes. By mid-morning, Grant's army has been driven back 2 miles, and they are fighting for their lives on a sunken farm road that goes down in history as the Hornets Nest. Union defenders hold this road for 6 hours. Attack after attack after attack. William Tecumseh Sherman fought through this battle. Years later, an old man, he still couldn't shake the sound of it. He wrote that he could still hear, his words, the dull thud of the Minnie-balls as they struck trees and ground. That's a man who saw the rest of the war, who marched an army through Georgia, and the sound that stayed lodged in him for the rest of his life was this field, this morning. And in the middle of this, Confederate General Albert Sidney Johnston rides forward to personally lead a charge. A bullet hits him behind the knee. It severs an artery. Johnston doesn't realize he's been hit. He keeps riding, keeps directing the attack. Blood is pooling in his boot, filling it, and the man is so focused, so consumed with the battle in front of him that he does not notice. His personal surgeon is not with him. Johnston had sent the man to the rear earlier that morning to treat wounded Union prisoners. His own doctor, on his own orders, half a mile away, saving the enemy. A tourniquet would have saved this man's life. He had one in his pocket. By the time anyone around him realized what was happening, Johnston was dead. By sunset on April 6th, Grant's army has been driven back to the riverbank. He has lost thousands of men. The Hornets' Nest has finally fallen. Confederate troops are within sight of his supply depot. His subordinate, William Tecumseh Sherman, finds Grant after dark, alone, under an oak tree in the rain, smoking a cigar.
Well, Grant, we've had the devil's own day.
Yes. Lick 'em tomorrow, though.
After General Johnston's death, a familiar face, P.G.T. Beauregard is appointed commander and begins to plan for the next day. However, he is unaware that Major General Don Carlos Buell has arrived overnight with 20,000 fresh reinforcements across the river. The Union force now had 54,000 men to the Confederates' 30,000. At dawn on April 7th, Grant counterattacks. The Confederates, leaderless, exhausted, taking massive casualties, are driven back across the same ground they took the day before. By afternoon, they are in full retreat. And when the rain finally stops on April 7th, somebody, Some staff officer with a clipboard has to count. The number they come up with is 23,746 American casualties in 2 days. I want to give you a number for context, because numbers in war can get abstract. The American Revolution, 8 years of fighting, produced roughly 25,000 American military deaths. Shiloh produced more casualties than the entire revolution. Up until Shiloh, the war is still somewhere in the public imagination, the war they signed up for in 1861. Flags, bands, a cause with a manageable price tag. After Shiloh, every newspaper in America, North and South, runs casualty lists for weeks. The war became modern here, in a Tennessee field, in April, in the rain, under a beautiful canopy of dogwoods that, by the time it was over, were absolutely full of dead boys. And it didn't just change the country, it changed the man who was going to win the war. Grant wrote about this later. He said that before Shiloh, he had believed the rebellion would collapse if the Union won 1 or 2 big battles. After Shiloh, he wrote, and these are close to his exact words, he gave up all idea of saving the Union except by complete conquest. But here's what I want you to understand. While the country was still reading the casualty list from Shiloh, still setting type for the names of the dead, the war did not stop and wait for the country to catch up. 18 days after Shiloh, 600 miles to the south, the Confederacy was about to lose something it could not afford to lose. In a single night. In the dark. On the water. And almost nobody saw it coming. If you're just joining us, welcome to AIVOM, where we go back in time to see what really happened. If you don't mind, please leave a comment and subscribe. It really helps me to pay the power bill for this time machine. Shiloh was the 3rd video in our Civil War series, and if you want to get caught up, be sure to check out the video that kicked this trip off. Our next video follows this battle as the Civil War gets piping hot.